Heeding the Cries of Our Children, Chapter 1, Cripples. With his body wrapped in a bathrobe, black hair disheveled from sleep, Bob opened his door and reached for the morning paper. Crisp morning air rushed in. Bob breathed in the freshness unique to the mornings he loved, the mist, the lightness. He smiled as he closed the door, part of his morning routine. Having been immersed in the last 8 years in his law practice, lately he'd carved out morning time for himself, a slow beginning for days that would easily become hectic. He pulled the paper from its plastic bag and walked to the kitchen for a steaming cup of coffee. Balancing coffee cup in one hand and the morning paper in the other, Bob lowered himself onto his couch. He blew on the brew and gingerly sipped. Still a little too hot. Bob set the cup on a coaster and opened the paper. The newspaper headlines blared out at him. 13-year-old shoots, kills, friend, and a 3-year-old. Wednesday, an afternoon that began with a clear spring sky, erupted into a nightmare of terror. Children running, parents sharing Christmas break, were horrified when a 13-year-old boy suddenly pulled a gun from his backpack and began shooting into a playground full of children and adults. 6 shots were fired before the young man was tackled and brought to the ground by several mothers. In the short but deadly shooting spree, 2 children, one 3 years old, the other 12, were fatally wounded. 2 other children were hit by the gunfire and are still in local hospitals. Bob dropped the paper into his lap. His hands flew up to cover his forehead. Shaking his head, he could imagine the drama. A young mother holding her dying child. Wails of sorrow, blood flowing. A vibrant, laughing child now laying limp. Tears streaming, a mother rocking her child, a world shattered. Bob could envision the scuffle, scared mothers shielding their children, women angry enough to move beyond their fear, crashing the boy to the ground. In a final act of protection, a woman's panic and rage driving the weapon from the boy's small hand. Bob wondered how long before the siren screamed and a crowd gathered. How long before the covers were pulled and placed over the dead and injured children? He envisioned the cameras flashing, videos rolling, recording for all time the anguish and despair. Did the young mother have to be torn away, arms reaching to grasp her child? His heart ached. Bob felt a hollow spot open inside. No wonder parents looked in on sleeping children, searched for ways to fortress them from dangers. Absently, he moved into the bathroom and hung up his robe. He walked out of his pajama bottoms, kicked them across the smooth tile floor, stepped into the shower, and turned on the water. The spray pelted his body. Warm, salty tears flowed down his face as the hot water from the shower, hitting his skin, brought his mind back to the present moment. Bob's mind ran over the newspaper story. Why does a 13-year-old have a gun in his backpack? How does he even have a gun? Why haven't we found answers? What are we doing wrong that no solutions have been found? He felt frustration at the media who cater to sensational headlines. Are we after answers or numbers? Do we want to blame or find solutions? The questions came fast. He scrubbed hard, his mind clouded. Bob turned the water handle to cold, took a deep breath, and stood in the spray. What is happening? The story spun in his mind and wouldn't let go. At 9:30 a.m., Bob parked his car and walked briskly into his office building. As he walked through the door into his suite, Joanne, his secretary, looked up with a smile, then quickly sat back. It was apparent to her that Bob was not his usual self. Quietly, she handed him a telephone note. Bob looked down. The note. A call from Rory. Roy was just the person who would understand, Bob thought. He took the paper, totally unaware of his impact on Joanne. Actually, hardly aware of her at all. Without a word, he went into his office and closed the door. Chapter 2, Never Again. Rory breathed deeply, yawned, and stretched in his swivel chair. He looked at the pictures on the walls, the lush green plants, and the new burgundy couch. Iris White, the new director at the group home, had certainly transformed his office into her own. Sitting at this desk brought back memories of long planning meetings, of fundraisings, of night with little sleep. It had taken determination to bring his dream for a group home where women could rebuild their lives into reality. The crystal wall clock that had replaced his bronze nautical one caught his eye. The clock read 2 a.m. He yawned. While Rory was happy to fill in for one of the night staff once in a while, he was also glad that he no longer did regular evening shifts. Rory unfolded his tall body and pushed away from the desk. As he opened the door, the dim hall lights filtered into the office. On the basketball court when he was in high school, Rory had moved with ease. At 33, his movements were still graceful. As Rory walked down the hall, he heard the soft breathing, occasional snores, sounds of sleep coming from the bedrooms. Rory smiled, rounded the corner. He walked into the kitchen. He poured the last of the coffee, hot and undoubtedly strong, and sat his cup on the counter. He rinsed the pot, tipped it upside down to dry. Blowing to cool the drink, he sipped the hot liquid and wandered into the common living area. Rory looked at the pictures, framed memories. He smiled back at happy faces. So many women had restarted their lives from foundations they had built here with him and his team. He moved slowly from one framed photo to another. In the quiet, Rory sighed, a catch in his throat. He pivoted, walked down the hall. Good hand-foot coordination kept his coffee from spilling. Occasionally, Rory stopped to listen to the peaceful sounds of the late-night building while he sipped his coffee, making his way back to the office. He softly closed the door, sat down on the burgundy couch, and placed his mug on the coffee table. Picking up a small picture, he looked down at Pam's face. Over the past year, she had become a treasured part of his and Jerry's life. It was hard to remember a time when she was not there. Absently, Rory set the photo aside, picked up the evening paper, and opened it. His eyes widened. He looked up, unconscious of his movements. Rory's face tensed, his eyes closed in pain, and he dropped the paper to the table. Rory raked his hands through his short, blonde hair. The headlines read, "Young girl and boy fatally shot as children played at Glacier Park." Rory clenched his teeth. Images of a park, the sun shining, children laughing, flooded his mind. He envisioned the eyes of trusting, vulnerable youth asking the unanswerable, "Why?" "Damn it," he whispered. "Damn it, damn it, damn it." "Keep a professional distance," a voice inside reminded him. "Professional distance be damned. I want to change lives. My colleagues want to change lives. Violence is blowing our city apart. We work, and now we lose again." He flung the paper onto the floor, stood up, and paced. "This has got to stop," he exclaimed. Pressure squeezed Rory's throat. Pain filled his heart and throbbed in his head. He closed his fist and pounded the burgundy couch again and again and again. Tears ran down his face. I want to know how to do more. We try so hard, he spoke to himself. But it's time to know more. Rory had no awareness of how long he sat, letting his tears fall and his mind wander. The coffee was no longer steaming when he heard himself whisper aloud, I am a part of a powerful solution team for children. We work with individuals of commitment, love, and vision. We look with open, questioning minds. Our agenda is healthy, passionate, safe living for children and harmony within families. We have accomplished our goal through our courageous stand and tenacity. I call for this to be in place now. The words tumbled out of his mouth. The timbre in his voice was strong, knowing commitment. And as if coming to himself, Roy shook his head, sat down at the desk, straining to remember he wrote what he had just heard himself say. Roy read and reread the words. The power of his statement touched him. The energy of the words surrounded him, and he laid his head on the desk. With his eyes still closed, Rory reached out and picked up the phone. Taking a deep breath, he looked at the numbers and dialed. Hi, sweetheart. Jerry's voice was deep and slow. What's going on this early in the morning? Rory glanced up at the digital desk clock. 4:30 a.m. Oh, I'm sorry, he stammered. I wasn't noticing the time. I could call back later. I just wanted a short talk. Amused, Jerry replied flirtatiously. Oh, I'd talk to you anytime. Rory could hear her breathing. Mentally, he saw her snuggle down in their bed and cradle the phone with the pillow. He could almost smell her early morning earthiness. He closed his eyes and breathed in her warmth. She was a balm to his soul. Taking a breath to calm himself, he said, Did you read last night's paper? The shooting at Glacier Park? I saw it on the news before I went to sleep. She paused. I wondered how you would respond. It hit my heart, Rory confided. I thought it might, she said knowingly. She mentally threw her arms around this man who had such a gentle and loving heart. She would have held him until any pain drained away, and yet she knew he would have the wisdom to let this pain draw something powerful from his depths. I'm so angry I could spit, Rory continued. I want to run out and scream at life, at the world, at God. It's all so senseless. I hurt with all that we are not doing. But Jerry, then something happened. Words poured into my head, strong, determined words. He hesitated and then continued, I'm not sure where they came from. Do you remember the words? Jerry asked, her words edged with curiosity. I wrote them down. Roy shuffled aside the newspaper. I'll read them to you. And he began. I am a part of a powerful solution team for children. We work with individuals of vision, love, and commitment. We look with open, questioning minds. Our goal is passionate, healthy, safe living for children and harmony within families. We have accomplished our goal through our tenacity and courageous stand, and I call for this to be in place now. Rory, that is profound. Jerry whispered. That is just what you have wanted. She paused. What are you going to do next? Well, I'm going to hold fast to that vision and let Pam's law of manifestation work. I know that there are unlimited possibilities if we just set the vision. There must be others as concerned as I am. A group with this commitment will make things change. His words were emphatic. Jerry thought a minute. You may want to look around you. The people may already be attracted, Jerry responded. Oh, you're right, Rory said thoughtfully. I'm going to make a call to Bob. Oh, I think that's a good idea. And you may want to wait until Bob's office opens, Jerry asked rhetorically, and they both laughed. Oh, thanks, said Rory. Thanks for what? Asked Jerry. For just being you. I love you, he replied gently.